Members, we will begin in about a minute. We are going to try to get done with members. It is now 9:35 a.m. and I call this committee meeting into order. All right, it looks like we have 8 members present with Rep. Selena joining us shortly. That'll make it 9 and a quorum to conduct today's meeting. And so with that, with 8 members currently present, that constitutes a quorum. So before we begin, discussing House Bill 2227, at this time, I'd like to open up the floor for any public comments.
Good morning, Chairman and members of this august body. For the record, my name is John Paul Sablon. I'm here to extend my appreciation to your committee, Mr. Chairman, for deliberating on today's order of business on House Bill 22-27. I stand ready to answer any question. I also invited Division of Customs to partake also in this morning's committee session. If there's any more questions from the members to put more clarity on the proposed legislation before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative J.P. Sablon. Floor is now open.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of this honorable committee. My name is Jose C. Mufnes. I work for the Division of Customs and Quarantine. I'm one of your gatekeepers in protecting our borders. Mr. Chairman, a few weeks ago, I appeared before your committee, and I know that we addressed some of the concerns and the inquiries that your committee asked. And looking at the amendments, oops, just I'm very glad that the committee has supported our suggestions to remove the 15-day grace period and only to allow a 30-day grace period for those importers, low-risk importers, compliant importers, to avail the 30-day grace period through an application process. And also to add the word sell. It's included in Section A, but it was not Section B. So thank you again, committee and members. Chairman, for doing that. Also, Mr. Chairman, I remember during that committee meeting, Honorable Member Ms. Tina, Representative Tina Sablan suggested, and it gave us an idea to also include the for the to be earmarked for the Division of Customs Printing Operations. The $50 fee to earmark it for the Division of Customs and Quarantine Operations to use it for the administrative costs. And I'm going to assure you all members that this will be shared between Saipan, Tinian, Rhoda, and customs operations. That is always the practice that we do with customs, is to ensure that whatever we have here or buy here for our officers, that Tinian and Rhoda is included. So with that, Mr. Chairman, again, but just as a very brief highlights on the 21-42, Public Law 21-42. Again, I appreciate your support on that to eliminate or to allow for a one-time or a pay on the spot for those importers that are clearing their cargoes, the taxable goods that comes in, to pay on the spot. But also a part of the bill was to have an application process for importers to apply to avail the 30-day grace period. And a lot of the importers are happy about it because it levels the playing field. Many of them have commented that now it's fair because we pay, and those that have been, and also this law have forced those that have been hiding, those that have been calling, we've been calling to come out and settle their outstanding. Now they have been coming out at the same time applying for the 30-day grace period. And really, for those, we call it high risk, we review it before any determination is made for approval. I know that I'm invited by the same Saipan Chamber of Commerce on July 7 to update them on this Public Law 21-42. So I will be briefing the business community on the updates of 21-42. And again, Mr. Chairman, may I ask again for your to include in the bill that the $50 application fee be earmarked for customs and quarantine operations. And again, I will assure you that this funding will be shared among Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Mafnas. Anyone else for public comment?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Robert Regis. I'm with Cinema Customs. Just to add on more to what the director mentioned regarding the process of the application, this also allows the businesses to actually fix whatever issues they have with relevant tax. In our application process, it requires them to submit a valid tax ID number or tax ID card showing that they've been renewed. So anybody that this actually captures all those that are non-renewal businesses, which is in return a positive for the government, making sure that all businesses actually pay their fines, to include submission of their 1 year minimum 1 year compliance. So if the businesses also are non-compliant in their filing and they don't get this, then they wouldn't be able to avail from this application. And it's a positive thing. And like the director said, there's a lot of positive feedbacks from the business community regarding the passage of 21-42. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Regis. All right, anyone else? All right, if there's none, we move on to the next item on the agenda. Can I get a motion? All right, motion was made to adopt the agenda and was seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. With that, we move on to new business, House Bill 22-27, to amend 4 CMC subsection 1407B to remove the 15-day grace period and to provide the Division of Customs with the authority to promulgate and establish application fees for low-risk importer applicants and for other purposes. All right, discussion on House Bill 2227. I recognize Representative Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to our friends from Customs, and thank you, colleague JP Sablan, also for your comments and for being here to answer any questions about this legislation. I did want to ask the members here if they would be amenable to an amendment to the bill that would create the special account into which the fees would be deposited and which the Division of Customs and Quarantine could use to support their operations. I think the idea was suggested, and I understand Council is drafting some language that would be fairly simple to insert, but I do think it's worth discussing. One comment I wanted to make in response to our Customs Director's comments was that in our last meeting we actually agreed not to set any cap, any specific $50 cap in the legislation, but now like I'm not sure, maybe perhaps you could clarify that. If he's suggesting that we earmark $50 or a portion of whatever the fee ultimately will be, which they would establish by regulation, or if we should just leave it more open and just allow for these fees that are collected to be deposited in this account in their entirety. Because that's one question that I think needs some clarification. But I would ask for your support for that amendment that would create the special account, and then we could move on to adopting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan. Council, do you need a few minutes to prepare? All right, while council works on the amendment, anyone else under discussion? I recognize Rep. Lizama.
Thank you, Chairman. And welcome, Customs personnel. Good to see you again. Sorry. Yes. Thank you, Chairman. And welcome again, Customs personnel. I just want a clarification. Fees for whatever the tax will be, and collected $50 from the fee, or that's separate? Is that separate?
If I may, this would just be for the application fees that are referenced in this bill. So the application fees for low-risk importer applicants. There is an administrative cost. There are costs associated with running this program that allows importers to apply for this benefit, and so the proposal would be to have those application fees deposited into a special account that Customs and Quarantine could use for operations. So just waiting on Council now to draft the language so we could all have a look at it.
So even if you didn't put this money aside for their operational use, it is a must anyway, because every application has a fee.
Right.
Correct. So
Right.
we're just making sure that they will use that money for the
For their
the
operations,
operation.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
that-
because
that
that's the
clarified.
one
Thank you.
thing that's missing from this bill, right? Is where does the money get deposited?
Thank you, Rep. Sablon and Rep. Lizama. Yeah, so we're not setting a cap, but over time, should that application fee be addressed and increased, at least the $50 set aside remains to allow, or that will go directly into a special account that will be created or that'll go straight to the Division of Customs and Quarantine. All right. Any other members would like to make any comment on the bill? Yeah. I recognize the Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just request for a quick, just the committee to dissolve so I can ask a question to the Customs Director. There's no objection. Thank you. Just a very simple question, Director. There is a statement in the findings that states that many importers are applying or have applied to the Division of Customs for this opportunity. Would you, by any chance, have a number? So thus far, how many applicants have submitted?
Thank you, Congressman Blanco, for the question. As of last month, we have 204 for Saipan, 5 for Tinian, and 13 for Rhoda. I know this has increased the number of applications. I know that so the total applications is 232. I know that I have disapproved a few for not meeting the requirements. And that is part of the requirement is they must clear their issues with revenue and tax also.
Thank you very much, Director. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Director.
I think we can rise back.
All right, we will now rise back into a committee. Sorry, we will now dissolve into a committee as a whole again.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I apologize for the confusion. But if Director, if you could please join us again and have a look at the language that our council has drafted. So the proposed amendment is to go. Well, it would go at the end of subsection B. All funds collected under subsection B of this section shall be deposited into a separate revolving non-lapsing account titled the Inspection and Clearance Account, established by the Secretary of Finance with the Director of Customs as the expenditure authority. Is that acceptable? Do you have any further?
Perfect.
Okay. And just to, I also just
I'm
wanted to
just-
clarify, you are the Director of Customs still, right? Like that executive order merging
True,
the
yeah.
departments that hasn't yet taken
Mhm.
effect, right?
Uh,
Okay.
I'm just the inspection and clearance account
Mhm.
application. Oh,
Um,
Uniform account.
we'll just leave it as it's actually the application application processing or
Well, I think the name of that section actually is inspection and clearance, right? Or no?
Huh?
Application,
okay.
Customs inspection and clearance.
Okay, so I'm good with that. Sorry.
Yeah, according to public law.
All right.
we could call it the customs inspection and clearance processing account, fee account, whatever you want to call it.
Uh, I want to add the quarantine also, customs and quarantine.
Okay. Okay.
Customs and quarantine inspection fee revolving fund.
Okay. That works.
It seems like everything that is earmarked is name labeled revolving fund, so
Uh-huh.
you can leave it. Recognize Rep. Selena.
Clarification, council, if you insert the quarantine portion, would that affect anything related to customs and existing statutes?
No, we're creating a new account just now, so we won't be affecting anything that exists prior to this. Yeah.
So clarified.
So right now I have it as the customs and quarantine inspection and clearance account.
Revolving fund.
Sorry, I'm having trouble connecting that. Revolving fund account. Okay. So the reason why we started off with customs inspection and clearance is because the subsection B on this monitor is how many? What? Revolving fund. Take out the account. Okay, so yeah, Director Mafnes, the subsection B is the customs inspection and clearance required. That's the title of it. So that's why I just grabbed that as a customs inspection and clearance account. But now that we have all this input, it's currently customs and quarantine inspection and clearance revolving fund.
I mean, we can. It just makes it very long. So the customs and quarantine inspection and clearance application
Processing fee.
processing fee. Well, I mean, I do think it's clear. It's clear from the language that this refers to the fees collected under this subsection, right?
Yeah.
So, I think. Yeah.
Going back to our title. So
Recognize Rep. Babalta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to differ to include the word application because I'm in favor of giving broader description so that we don't entangle or restrict the director of customs and quarantine in any way. So I'm in favor of giving broader language to it by not including the word application revolving fund in there.
And in the future, I mean, there might be other types of fees that could be deposited into this account. We're just saying that for the fees collected under this subsection, it should go into this new special account.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so everyone
Is that
okay with
acceptable?
the current
Okay.
title then? Customs and quarantine inspection and clearance revolving fund. All right, any other questions for the author or the director? If there's none, we now rise back into our committee meeting. All right, members, it looks like the council has prepared the amendment. So would anyone like to make a motion to include this amendment? Yes, he is a member. All right, a motion was made to adopt the amendment proposed by Rep. Ralph Yumo and was seconded by Rep. Sablan. Discussion on the motion. All right, all in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, the motion is hereby adopted. Now back to the main motion. Discussion on House Bill 22-27 HD1. Ready? All in favor? Oh, can I get a motion, please? All right, a motion was made to adopt House Bill 22-27 HD1 and was seconded. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. House Bill 22-27 is hereby adopted. Ms. Claire Sablon, please prepare the committee report. The committee's apologies, and I understand that it was already drafted, and so do you know how long you need? That way the members can come back to sign the committee report. An hour. Okay, we'll be here. All right, members, in about an hour, if you're available or if you're in the building, I will let you know if the committee report is in my office so that you can come by to sign it off and pre-file it before Tuesday's session. All right, thank you, Director and the author of this bill for being here today. All right, members, we now move on to the next item on the agenda, miscellaneous. One thing I want to bring up is a couple of minutes ago, I received an email from the Commissioner of DPS with the attachments of his medical leave as well as his delegation of authority. And so our next meeting will be next week with the other agencies that you've requested to meet with. We can discuss next steps. We are expecting to receive the revised budget by today. They request an extension yesterday, so we'll be getting that today. And on next week, Wednesday, we can discuss how to proceed. In addition, I can forward you the documents I received for your review, and so with that, members, any other questions? Yes, Rep. Sablon.
Yes, may I just ask who is currently then the acting commissioner?
So I do have a medical document from the service provider as well as leave form, but the director did mention in his letter that he has delegated the Director of Administration, Kay Enos, to work with the committee in regards to any concerns that we may have regarding the budget.
Oh, so she's not the acting commissioner. He's still.
Not the acting commissioner, but
Okay.
there was a delegation to work with the committee.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes. And so his leave form is for an additional 2 weeks, as he had stated, or as he had communicated with me last week. Recognize Rep. Staffler.
I also am needing signatures for my committee report, so if any of you are on my committee, I will be piling it up with Rep. Donalds. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Staffler. And one more thing for informational purposes. So next Wednesday, what I plan to do with the committee meeting is to have OPM and OPA come in as just a regular meeting with them for informational purposes only, for you to ask your questions in regards to, I don't know, whether it be Ps or pay scale or anything of that nature. And then in the maybe later on in the morning or in the early afternoon, we can establish an actual budget hearing for public defenders. That was one of the committee that was requested to be called in. AG, is that for informational purposes only, or? So we may be giving them more funds or taking funds away, or is it more of asking about? That's for the committee to decide. I'll open that up.
Well, if I may.
Recognize.
Yeah, I think that like with the Office of the Attorney General, I mean, I can't even remember the last time we had a budget hearing with that office. I mean, even since they've been an independent, it's been an independent elected position, and so I think it'd be helpful for us to better understand their needs, and also, like the ARPA money, like they stand to receive some ARPA funds as well, as does OPA. So I know that you mentioned maybe we'd invite them in for informational purposes, but I'm curious whether they've submitted any request for ARPA funds, if they've their budget. I know their budget is also established by law, like 1%, but there are like outstanding issues that remain with collecting the 1% fees, especially from the autonomous agencies. So I think that we might have questions that would be more than just beyond just informational purposes. I think it could be helpful for us to hear from both of them. So yeah, I do think it should be a budget hearing.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess so that Rep Stafford can maybe do a provision should agencies not remit, or should finance not remit any OPA fee into there. Okay, so we'll have to. Yes, Council, did you? Oh. All right. So Wednesday may very well be our last meeting in regards to the budget, or after the fiscal analyst has reviewed the revised budget and have any major concerns, we can discuss if we should meet with bring back any agencies, especially like if we need to go to Rhoda or Tinian. So yeah, I recognize.
Would it be possible to get, like those fiscal analysis briefs are so helpful for us to prepare. Could we get those as well ahead of these meetings with these agencies, particularly like, like for OPA, public defenders, and the Office of the Attorney? Actually, for all of them, I know OPM lost so much of its staff, like more than half of their staff after the furloughs, right? And then now they're implementing WGIs, they're reinstating staff. There's going to be a lot more hiring. So, be helpful to, I think, hear from all of them about their budget needs, but also really helpful to get that fiscal analysis before our Wednesday meeting, if that's
Okay.
possible.
Yeah, TG, if you can work on that this week, or by Tuesday of next week, if that's possible, or what, at least if you can't really, if you don't have time to work on the history, at least how much they're getting for this fiscal year. Yeah. And then the session on Tuesday. If you need to request a comp time over the weekend or overtime, I don't know how that works. But all right, members, any other discussion? Okay, so Wednesday we'll have we'll just go ahead and do a budget hearing for all 4 agencies. They'll all be under one agenda, but we'll schedule 2 in the morning and then 2 early afternoon. We'll recess for lunch and then finish off with the 2. All right, members, thank you. Anyone else? All right. With that, I appreciate your patience and understanding as we close out all our hearings. Ms. Claire Sablan, thank you. I again, apologies from the committee for the additional amendments. All right, members, with that, can I get a motion for adjournment? Motion was made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. This meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:07 a.m.
So Claire gets an apology on the record, but I do the writing in front of the